INnoVation taking on Trap. It's a best of 5. It's another one of these Alpha X events. And definitely expecting a fun series here. As our blue Terran INnoVation is in the bottom right-hand side from KaiZ Gaming. He's taking on the red Protoss on the top left side of the map. Trap from Jin Air Green Wings. And I actually think INnoVation and Trap pretty well matched at the moment. I think a lot of people will say, oh, Trap's just a lot better than INnoVation. I feel like a lot of people don't have belief in INnoVation, but I'm a pretty big Inno believer. And I think he's actually, while he's not quite out there making like GSL finals and stuff, I do think he's actually been really solid in a lot of the online events and, exactly the sort of thing that this is from, right? So yeah, kind of it's always a fun PvT when Trap and INnoVation meet. I mean, obviously Trap was renowned for his best PvT in the world for a long time and stuff as well. So excited to see what gets brought out of this one as we go into game number 1 of this best of 5. And yeah, excited to get this going. Submarine for our first map as well. Very exciting stuff. As always, guys, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, do not forget, if you enjoy the video, to hit that like. And if you really enjoy and want to come back to watch even more, we upload StarCraft videos here daily. Do hit that subscribe button as well. It's yeah, it's really the way to do it, if I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Hit that sub button and help us out towards our goal of 35,000 subs by the end of the year. It's definitely looking less and less likely, but you never know when the sub count might, when the YouTube algorithm decides to start promoting it to people that don't watch as much and stuff. So you got to keep saying it, right? All right. This PvT then, nothing really wild off the bat. Cybercore first, very expected on this map, of course. Short map, so it makes perfect sense to get across the map aggressively with an adept or so. Move across and to get a little bit aggressive, something like that. So SCV going to be heading back down the bottom right side. This probe heading up to the upper left. And yeah, everyone's scouts just returning home, having seen a pretty standard opening between the two of them so far. We do have our Reaper continuing to the upper left-hand side. He's going to hop up into the main base in a couple of moments. Just going to be seeing the Adept shading through. Reaper will continue down to the bottom right-hand side. As we do just have the Adept continuing to move along. Out down in that bottom right corner. Bunker is setting up from INnoVation in the natural expansion. The Adept going through. A couple of Marines are here. The Reaper is going to drop a grenade down. Twilight Council on the way up in the main base. So just getting that ready to go. Going to be seeing a robotics facility. I mean, an aggressive map. We could absolutely see something like a 4-gate here. 4 gates of Blink, get some Stalkers up into the main base aggressively. There's a lot of ways you can get active with this one. So I think it's, we'll see if that's the choice for Trap. Obviously, it doesn't have to be. Plenty of ways you can just play Blink defensively. But again, it is a shorter map, so I don't mind taking the initiative. You take the initiative and you make it difficult for the Terran to set up for like a tank push with a couple of SCVs pulled for bunkers. That's so powerful on Submarine, especially onto this natural, because there's no ramp up into the natural. So a siege up here, couple of bunkers down, and you're already talking about an extremely defensible position right outside of the Protoss player's base, right? So something to be aware of, and there is the 4th gateway from Trap. So I do like it. The good news is from INnoVation, he sees this immediately. He sees all 4 gateways, so he knows exactly what's coming his way. And INnoVation should be very happy with that information. So both players kind of probably happy with where they are in the game. I feel obviously Trap a little bit disappointed that INnoVation knows exactly what's up. This is the sort of thing that doesn't always come down to knowing what's up, though. This is absolutely the sort of thing where it's like, can you find the correct, can you find the correct commitments? Can you find the correct attacks? Can you find the right blink-ins? Can you force the Terran to move around? It's a lot about how that interaction of Stalkers and defense from the Terran player goes, more so than it is about the Terran knowing. Because, the Terran can know, and obviously they can set up a little bit better, but the Terrans typically set up like that anyway nowadays because, well, yeah, you're expecting some Stalker pressure, even if it's not 4 gateways. So knowing about it, definitely, yes, it helps. It can mean you're a little bit more committed, to that defense. It also means you know exactly where you're at as well, by the way. So I'm sorry, I missed the first Widow Mine coming in there. Just for one probe, forcing the probe pull. It also means you're a little bit more committed to the I mean, it means you know where you're at a little bit better. You know you don't need to break out of this so quickly. So there's not going to be any rash moves from INnoVation as he sits back, waits for his stim pack to come on through as he plays this 2-rack, soon to be 3-racks opener. And obviously no sign of a third base just yet. That's obviously an expectation, and I love that about this 4 gateway player as well. From INnoVation's point of view, the fact he's going to go to 3 racks and stim rather than the 3rd CC means he will get a bit of push-out potential sooner than the 3 CC would give him, so you can fight back for a bit more map control. Now, of course, Trap, I think it's fair to say he's pulled away from a lot of this aggression. He feels like it's just not worth it. So he's just going to go straight to that 3rd base, the Robo Bay down as well. And those are things that happen a lot faster here now than they usually would off 4 gateways. These are kind of like 3 gateways sort of timing, right? And obviously it feels like 3 gateways because Trap never actually really used the 4th gate. He's never warped in more aggressive stalkers here. So Trap's staying pretty passive. As you do see an extra stalker warp it in. I think there was an adept already in here, so yeah, I mean, these stalkers can blink up if they want to. There's not really anything to do, though. What you're going to do, I mean, there's a tank, pretty good coverage, a bunker. You don't actually get in range of anything. The defense is really well set up for INnoVation. And I guess that's the difference of the scout. Like, this bunker isn't necessarily always here if you don't know it's 4 gateways, so definitely has been a bit extra defense from Inno, but then Trap playing against it by saying, right, well, I know you're playing super defensive that little bit more than usual, so I will just tech up a bit faster than usual. And then INnoVation is humanly realizing this as well, right? You've only seen 4 stalkers, you've not seen a lot more. No real reason to stay, you know, bunkered up in your base because there's obviously not a lot of pressure coming unless Trap is playing a very good mind game. But even then, I mean, 6.5 minutes, if he's not been harassing with all the stalkers and he's just banking them back here to catch Inno off guard, well, Inno's probably feeling good anyway because those stalkers don't trade well now. Stim is up. And the whole idea of the stalkers initially is that you slow the Terran down, you take good trades initially, using the blink to trade well, and that means that at 6.5 minutes, you'd usually be in a much better position. So sitting back while warping in a ton of stalkers just wouldn't have really been good for Trap. As we now have got the few zealots coming down this bottom side. And they're in that prism to maybe move toward the main base. There's a few Marines hanging around in the main base as well. Army of Trap moving through to the center of the map. A siege tank, a few siege tanks popping out and coming forward as well. And this prism going to start to fly in toward the main base. So a few more units from Trap continue to set up in the center. Tanks firing, picking off an adept already as Trap is going to get pushed away. Prism loads up. If the SCV's going down so far. Fire moving out the front a little bit, Prism down the bottom. Dark Shrine is going to be finishing up from Trap in the main base. And Trap still moving around a little bit. Gravitic Drive on the way in on the Robo Bay. Ghost Academy and the Armory building in that natural expansion. Medevac's pulling back, the Bio Army still setting up. Vikings going to get a Zealot already. And a couple of DTs just moving forward, going to go join up in the center as Shadow Stride sets up in the main base. And again, everything from Trap joining up together. The Bio going to turn around and some Stalkers getting pushed back. Two upgrades still coming in as that Prism sits over on the right-hand side. The Army of Trap coming down into the middle of the map here. As a few SCVs have fallen, I apologize. The Observer has not been great this game. So the DT's been a little bit annoying. And 7 SCVs going down so far. There's a couple of extra Disruptors will be popping out in just a few moments. Time Trap going to be setting out into the center with quite a lot of units. Now, we've got some extra ghosts going to be popping out very soon as well. I mean, obviously it's been pretty passive, right? Yeah, the DTs showed up and they did a bit of damage, but otherwise, neither players really, you know, come out and, you know, gone army against army. This is the biggest move so far, really. INnoVation maybe sneaking around the side. Obviously, Trap's sitting his army in the middle, but this army has real potential to get around somewhere and maybe hit a base. It pulls back now. I mean, Trap just goes straight to base number 5. We're seeing more and more Terran players play like this. Just sit back for a long, long time, at least until ghosts are up, and it gives the Protoss a long time to me to get ready to go, but I can appreciate it because with the lower army counts, you're not always going to be able to just push into Colossi and find a fight, so yeah. Alright, well, this Prism comes back up through the top. A few extra DTs just got warped in. I'm trying to find those. They're right up here. I mean, obviously, INnoVation playing well defensively, too. Again, his 4th base down. And, you know, apart from the initial DTs that got in, he's not taking any damage or anything. And Marauder gets picked off. Another Disruptor shot will miss. And this DT here will get scanned pretty quickly. Goes down right away. And as now these tanks are going to set up. Bio Army going to come through. A couple of EMPs go down. Disruptor shots will continue to fire as that Bio will stim back down to the bottom side. So continue to bring this down the bottom, but he's pushing up the top as well. I mean, DT's got kind of EMP. Not all of them, though. I don't think this is good for INnoVation. He is about to be 2-2 against 1-1, against 2-0. Or 2-1, sorry. Another upgrade. The armor upgrade just finished up from Trap. I mean, these Disruptors just got blown up, though. That's kind of a huge deal. The Disruptors just died. There's a lot of siege tanks, and it's a map that can be really well dictated by where the siege tanks are. And that might be Trap's issue. You can see him getting ready for the flank, and that's what he'll need against these tanks because he cannot possibly take a fight here if these tanks... Oh my god, one Disruptor did go off, but doesn't kill anything. You can't take a fight if these tanks are just allowed to get their connections on everything. And we're still seeing a lot of the tanks sieged up. I actually think INnoVation is going to destroy this fight. Wow. The tanks have done so much here. He dealt with the Zealots and DTs before the rest of the army came in. And this army is especially weak to tanks. Colossi and Stalkers, they die so quickly. You can see again, now we're kind of back in the stage of basically trying to set up Zealots from one side and the rest of the army from the other. I like the cutting off of reinforcements. That gives Trap some hope. As the Nexus goes down, and INnoVation will continue to push through. Bio Army will get rid of a lot more probes. Another pylon going down as well. Now these Disruptors out the front getting caught also. So they will go down. The recall of Trap into the natural expansion. Tanks on siege and the Zealots are going to catch them. So all of a sudden you're losing every single siege tank as INnoVation. Does it matter? Have you already done too much? EMP on the Zealots. Needs to maybe hit the DTs as well. He does. And the army on the backside gets taken down quickly. The Colossi are still here and dealing damage. And there's not really an answer to Colossi, but obviously you've killed 22 probes, and I think the reinforcements from INnoVation will show up and just be too much. But boy, losing all of those tanks to that Zealot run-in, I mean, that's what Trap was looking for this entire time. It was just always missed. I don't even know if I want to say it was mistimed, versus it was just INnoVation kind of catching the Zealots and DTs before Trap was ready to execute the attack. This is always the scary part of the TvP, though, because what INnoVation was doing is, it's a power play. I mean, if there was ever something like a 4-base all-in, this would kind of be it, because once the tanks go down, if you haven't traded well, the rest of your army kind of sucks. Like, Ghosts are nice, but they're not going to carry you, so you need those tanks to get so much done. They did so much, and now this time, obviously, we're going to see this army able to continue pressing through and doing well. Another couple of EMPs going down, Zealots being picked off, and just chasing down this Ram. Colossus gets hunted, Stalkers are being chased, and it looks as though everything is going to fall. So INnoVation is going to get the win. But let's take a quick rewind just to very quickly see kind of the big moment here. It was before this, right? It was before those tanks got to fight. It looks scary because INnoVation, again, wasn't really doing that much, right? You look at the game, he's got a scary army, but putting this army to use is difficult. Now, this map works well for getting this army to come into use, but look what he does. This army here, Trap is so focused, fighting down over here. INnoVation gets to this right-hand side without any issue, and then he gets this siege, and this is already great. And now, the next thing that happens is you still got this army here that's trying to fight, but the next thing that happens is INnoVation continues to push up. He fights against a few DTs already. He actually gets the Disruptors at some point of this, right? It's over here. These tanks are going to reposition, and Trap just doesn't realize it. So the Disruptors, they're just in reach of the tanks. And that was the real turning point, because that's just INnoVation really making a couple of crucial plays with army movement that can absolutely dominate Trap. And that's a big reason why INnoVation was able to win out this game, because it gave them the momentum and some of the important tech kills to do the rest of the push up to the top side, then catch these zealots and all the rest that we mentioned as the game went on. INnoVation taking game 1. Game number 2, and INnoVation leads the CUs with some really cool army movement on Submarine to pick up that win. Let's see if you can keep it up going into Death Aura. I would imagine that the map picks were INnoVation picking Submarine, so this would probably be Trap's first map pick, and we'll see if he can defend his map pick. At Red Protoss bottom right-hand side is Trap. As we go into game number 2 of the best of 5. Again, the winner of this plays into the finals. Best of 7. These are 4-player invitationals. Best of 5 semis, best of 7 finals. One of the Alpha X events. Again, shout out to Alpha X as per usual. They're running a lot of really cool tournaments lately. And if you would like to check out more from them, I mean, I'm sure you guys can find it, right? I always link, if you're watching this on YouTube, for example, there's the Wikipedia link down below. You can use that as like a start of finding their tournaments. There's so much that they run, so do go check them out. Yeah, and obviously these replays, if you ever want to get your hands on these replays, Alpha X do generally sell them on Matcherino pages. So if you see an Alpha X tournament that's kind of cool, you're like, oh, I want the replays of that, basically go find the Matcherino page for it, and then you can buy the replays. So do check that out. That's exactly what I do for all of these events. At this point, I basically have a monthly subscription of Alpha X tournament replays. So there's the SCV coming in. And probe comes through, and the SCV taking quite a bit of damage. Cybercore comes down from Trap in the main base. Trap just coming down to that natural. Is going to set up a Nexus as the couple of SCVs come through, and just going to be seeing our SCV patrolling around a little bit. So probe just trying to be annoying, trying to block. I mean, look at the delay. 75, 85, 90, 100 minerals. That's a 125 mineral delay on the command center. That's actually pretty much one of the better delays you're going to get against a Terran. So yeah. Probe back up around the top side. Warp Gate is on the way on the Cybercore. The Adept is going to be popping out, and the Nexus just coming through as well. Not much to say just yet. I mean, let's talk about Death Aura a little bit. Death Aura also has this kind of no ramp natural, but obviously you still have to go up these ramps to get here, unlike on Submarine where you're already on like the same level. So Death Aura is a very fun map for that. Sometimes you can see some Terran pushes being very valuable early. It's another real good map for Blink aggression, as I don't know why this probe ran back in to try and fight the Marine. But it's a real good map for Blink aggression. Oh, you know why it might be? It might be if there's a Adept gets here and feels like he can two-shot a Marine. Maybe he feels like there's some potential, but I mean, the bunker's nearly done, so it doesn't really make sense still. But yes, another map where, you know, going from here to here and blinking in the main is very easy, and the Terran has to kind of match that rotation without knowing exactly where the Protoss is. So yeah, I like this map a lot for that, but I'm not sure Trap will necessarily go for it. Like, yes, he wanted to go for 4 gates of Blink last game, but it got scouted very early, so never got to really play that out. Wow, this Adept got the SCV just before it had to shade away. That's obviously a nice pickup. Anytime you're killing an SCV is generally a pretty good time, as Reaper and the Hellion trying to help defend. Tech on the factory very early, so no Widow Mine drop this time around. That got a couple of workers last game. Tech Lab straight away says, perhaps, I mean, what does INnoVation see so far? Oh, it's going to be Raven early.
Complete.
Okay, Raven early on then. As you see, that Blink is coming through. So Blink's on the way. Adept have just ran by the way, and just gone straight into this natural. Depot didn't raise. They've got access into the main base if they want it. Pick your poison Trap, because right now you can hit the main, continue the natural. Wow, this SCV jumped into the refinery. Okay, 3 SCVs. I mean, this is pretty good damage early on, if we're going to be honest. 4 SCVs, a great scout. You see exactly the setup in the main, so you know there's a Starport and a Tech Lab, etc. So you probably know there's a Raven. Yeah, just to go back, I think I quite like the Raven because it's something that Trap can do, introduce some DTs, and it's something he did have last game pretty early. Not like right away, but fairly early on. So I don't mind that addition. This is obviously a much faster third from Trap. This is just 2 gateways into the third, then adding on the 3rd gateway behind it. And meanwhile, the Reaper is going to try and pick up some more of that info. Did INnoVation see the third? He didn't check here yet, but he should do. It's one of the places you obviously want to check, keep eyes on. And seeing it tells him, okay, I'm not going to be under super heavy pressure in the immediate future. I've got a little bit of time to play with here. I've got a little bit of time where I shouldn't be, or I don't have to be, overly concerned about things. This is our stim pack. Sets up. Siege tank is on the way in the main. Third rack is going to be finishing very shortly, and just going to be seeing the depot INnoVation at the front as well. Just creating a little bit of a wall off. You never know when those wall offs might save you. It happens more often than you would think, if I'm going to be completely honest. You have our couple of extra gateways being built from trap in the main base, and just the warp prism charge. All of this continuing to be brought up right now as our stalkers of trap will make their way up to the top left-hand side. Impact is about halfway done from INnoVation. Siege tank sets up in the main base. Another siege tank over on this natural as our stalkers will blink up into this natural here, and well, the depot goes down. A few of these SCVs being picked away at. So the tank will unsiege and continue to press forward as INnoVation continues at the front. Warp Prism loads up a few zealots. INnoVation. I think he's trying to target fire the Observer, then he clicked his depot initially, so the tanks got involved. Alright, well, Observer goes down. That's obviously a nice catch too. Another benefit of the Raven. Obviously, free Observer picks, don't have to scan for them. Obviously, sometimes you will see them where you usually wouldn't before. These Zealots are a little early. I mean, obviously, INnoVation's moving out. They don't have charge yet, but right now it doesn't feel like they need charge. INnoVation will continue across the map at the moment, so he is not slowing down. He's just going to keep on going. I mean, this is really... Okay, this is almost INnoVation saying, I'm all in then, because this is a lot of Zealots that keep warping in. I don't disagree. Trap is in a spot where he can warp in more Zealots against this. Can he defend at home becomes the question. He's got a limited army. He's already down an army supply. And remember, some of it is in that Warp Prism and Zealot play across the map. The Raven, it's going to go down, isn't it? Blinks in. No usage out of the Raven, and that could be critical. That Raven could have done so much. Interference, Matrix, saying even an anti-arm missile, even auto turrets, anything would have helped so much in a push from INnoVation that's looking to do serious damage when he's only on 18 SCVs back at home with the damage dealt. First tank goes down very quickly as the Immortals getting on top of it. The first two Immortals go down. Imagine the Raven took down two Immortals here, and all of a sudden you probably have two siege tanks alive instead of one. It doesn't maybe matter as INnoVation stems in. Remember, INnoVation has to win the game with this though, or deal serious damage, because he's now down to just 12 SCVs at home. Reinforcements, they aren't coming in from INnoVation anytime soon. He's about to get a second siege tank across the map. He depowers the Robo, and it's just gateway units for Trap here. There is these Zealots that are still active over here, just in case you're wondering what is still killing workers. It's just more Warpins. And those final SCVs are being basically no mining right now from Inno. Can Trap break out of his own natural? I mean, how much time can Trap buy is maybe a better question, because he is mining off the third, he is mining off the main. As far as he's concerned, if he mines off those two locations, I guess this is okay for him, but because then he'll be able to keep on building units. He's going to go for it right now. So here we go. The Zealots do get a chance to get on top of the tanks very quickly, and that's a big deal. I think now the Bio Army won't get rid of the Zealots, and so the Bio will be shot down, swiped down, I should say. And yeah, there's only a couple of units able to really get out of there, and they go down in the medevac. GG from INnoVation. This attack did not work out, and the Zealot play into the main. Trap went. INnoVation did not respect it. He did not turn around. And INnoVation just struck through for gold. GG. Sorry, Trap just struck through for gold, not INnoVation. Getting player names mixed up today. Trap ties us up 1-1 and making a series out of this best of 5. Bottom left-hand side, the blue Terran player. You just did not respect the Zealots. It is INnoVation. Taking on the red Protoss in the top right-hand side, it is Trap for game 3 of this best of 5. Get this one set up and we get this ready to go in the next few moments. So getting this sorted out, as we have got Oxide, our map. Well, the probe's going to chrono boost then. The gateway is on the way in, and the probe is going to start to make its way out down to the bottom left-hand side. Gas, racks. Coming through here at the moment is just going to be seeing our gateway setting up in the main base. And our probe from trap will continue down to the bottom left corner. After a pretty fun and kind of longer initial game, we really get to see a little bit of what these two can bring us. Now, Oxide is another of these maps which I expect INnoVation may be his map pick. Lots of rocks. You know, if you go back to Submarine, those tank plays, this is the kind of map where I feel like you can imitate a lot of those siege tank plays once again. I feel like you can do a lot of moving these tanks around, a lot of army movement, getting into very good positions with siege tanks. And if that's how INnoVation found success in Game 1, I'm obviously a bit of a believer that he can find success here in game number 3 again, perhaps. So we'll see if it gets to that kind of stage, of course. There's a lot of steps to go through until we get there, and we'll see exactly what Trap plans to do in the early stages as well to give us an idea of what he is thinking. Reaper will come up the right-hand side, and we'll head toward the top right corner. That comes through, a couple of shots, Reaper taking some damage, is going to die. And Trap's going to put a question mark out, like, what are you doing? Love the question mark. It's been a while since we've seen the question marks. You know, there was a while we were casting a lot of Korean games and question marks were rampant. But it's been a little while since we've seen the fun little poking being made with the question mark. Always a fun one. Twilight Council is on the way for the 3rd game in a row, so once again, a Twilight opener. Adept will not get up here, and it's going to be reactor Hellions. Now, that's pretty good information that the Adept does find, right? That's a factory on the reactor, so you know it's going to be a Hellion count early. Robo Facility comes down straight away as well from Trap before Gates. This is one of the scenarios where you don't have a lot of units right away, so maybe there's some potential with the Hellions, but I'm sure Trap, having seen this, will kind of know. It's 2 Hellions into Widow Mine, so it will be a Widow Mine drop with the Hellions to maybe distract, or maybe even try and find some very early damage. Let's see what they can do as they move across the map. Might even just be wanting to pick up some guaranteed scouting info. Remember, he lost that Reaper, so it's not like you can pair up 1 Reaper with 1 Hellion and pretty much guarantee a scout. Now you've just got 2 Hellions, and it is going to be 3 more gateways. So Trap setting up to go into a big follow-up. As INnoVation gets up here, gets a couple clicks, so he sees the Robo, sees the gates, knows what's building. And now turns back around. We'll keep the Hellions alive for the moment. The medevac on the way, but he's immediately gone into actually a siege tank on the factory. So that's very good news if he wants to hold off this 4 gateway blink pressure. Because if he doesn't hold that off, he's in a lot of trouble. And the siege tank is a big step toward being able to hold it. Two Widow Mines come out through the bottom side. Moving up to the upper right. Double Widow Mine is going to drop into this main base in a few moments. The Prism from Trap continuing down the bottom left. And we've got a few Marines and a Hellion that can pick away at this Adept, which tries to go back down the bottom. Widow Mine gets 4 kills initially, and this one gonna get another 2. Not bad. 6 kills on 2 Widow Mines, and you're going to save at least 1 Widow Mine. Looks like the other one he's just going to leave. Obviously, no pressure, no success just yet with this Stalker play. I like this kind of half wall off as well. If the Stalkers then commit in, they can't just walk out. They need to be carried out or so. Siege tank in the main goes down, however, and Prism going to save a few of the low health Stalkers and continue to get some extra SCVs. Now, the next tank already here, so that's a big part of this, and he just blinked away, which gives you time to get another siege tank out. And that's the very important part of this, I think, because now you've got at least 2 tanks at once. You've also got the Raven. interested to see what the Raven wants to do. Obviously, an auto turret every now and then helps. I mean, maybe it's just for DT coverage behind it. The Widowmine drop came back in, and that's now a 7-kill Widowmine. So that's 11 workers down to the initial pressure here across the map from INnoVation. And that's a big deal because 11 workers is a lot less for Trap to work with. Uses this auto turret to buy himself a bit more time, reposition the tank. I think INnoVation's holding on, because especially because these tanks are coming out at just the right rate right now. Blink is going to get the tank. The tanks are coming out at the right rate to sort of be able to defend this. This is a little bit more concerning, though, because this tank went down much faster than I thought it would. Gonna lose the bunker as well, and now quite a few of these SCVs starting to drop, so maybe Trap has just found his moment to break through. If he didn't lose the tank right then, he gets back to 2 tanks. I think Trap's in a lot of trouble, but obviously Trap realizing that time's running out for him to make plays, gets that tank, and now what he owns on this natural is a pretty big deal. Blink's in for this. Viking here to help push the Prism back, so the Prism can't really come in to save Stalkers, and that's actually big because now you lose a lot of the micro potential you usually rely on. The Widowmine comes back in from the other side, gets burrowed up. Detection is available, so the Widowmine goes down. 16 SCVs killed. The problem is for INnoVation is that the tech isn't really there, because he went 3cc. He can rebuild SCVs, but he's not like, it's not like he's about to hit Stimpak or something, right? It's not like he's finally got the tech up to push this back. It comes back to what I said, I think, in game number 1, where it's, you know, going 3 racks instead of 3cc, as Trap is going to do enough to win this. Going 3 racks instead of 3cc against this is such a big deal, because if this took Trap such a long time to break through, with 3cc you probably have Stim, and some of these final blink-ins probably don't happen. But the 3cc does a lot more kind of, you know, defensively for INnoVation, so if you don't hold on, Trap has longer to keep finding holes and keep breaking stuff down. GG, and that's going to be Trap to take it to a 2-1 lead here in our best of 5 TV. As down 1-2 in the bottom left-hand side, the blue Terran player from KaiZ Gaming is INnoVation. And in the top right, our red Protoss here on Jagannatha. It is going to be Trap. So game number 4. Excited to see what Jagannatha brings to the table here. Jagannatha is a big map, of course, a long map. Obviously, that means it's quite hard to play TVZ on, but I do think for TvP, there's a lot of ways you can play around it. Maybe it goes to a longer game, but there's some good dropping potential on this map. There's definitely good, like, multi-pronged hit, you know, strike potential. And that's very effective against Protoss players. ZV comes in and drills the probe for a moment. Nexus sets up in the natural, and probe just continuing to move around. Another SCV moving through is going to be in quite some trouble. Once that goes down, just going to be seeing the Reaper on the way up, and just going to be seeing the SCV. And a Scout. Trap's gone Twilight Council every game so far. Would not mind a Stargate switch up, especially on Jagannatha. Not as much pressure for the Blink to be used. It's obviously a nice large map, and I talked about drop defense, but maybe you can go Stargate, get some Phoenix up, and then you can really help to minimize some of those drops mid-game as well. You know, Phoenix open actually has a lot of value too, so you can also just go Oracle into a Twilight Robo follow-up. A lot of options, you know, Jagannatha really leaves it open. You're not really shoehorned into a single way to play. And that should be a Twilight Council, it seems. As he doesn't have the gas for the Stargate, although then he built something else, so maybe he's getting close to having gas for Stargate. But it is the Twilight Council, so Trap gonna stick with this for at least another game. As our Adept will shade down through the natural and just gonna jump up into the main. Let's see our command center finishing. A few Marines, a couple of Marines, and the Reaper can maybe jump into that bunker. The Adept is keeping an eye out the front. There's our Twilight Council about to finish. There's a couple of extra probes coming through. And Hellion is going to be popping out very soon, going down to that low ground, and Starport is about halfway done at the moment. So Starport looking good as our Robo and Gateway continue to set up. Marines just continuing to build out right now, so Marines about to finish. I guess the question is, how many gates with this blink? And right now, 2 extra, and there's 3 extra. So Trap going to stay aggressive again. When the Robo comes down first, the 4 gates in total is oftentimes the expectation. As you see, Blink is ticking along, and it's going to see our Prism on the way out as well as the Adept goes through, gets rid of a scouting Reaper. How much did that Reaper pick up on already? I think everything, right? You've seen the 2 gates at the front. Well, you can see the 2 gates at the front, but I think seeing this gateway timing adds up with the Robo to be in 4 gates. I think INnoVation is in very good position in terms of knowing what's up. And I also really do stand by the fact that this is not the easiest map to make stuff happen in. You can only blink up right here, and it's right here as well. And so you really know where this attack's going to come from. And this time INnoVation's second rack, and he'll go for the stim earlier. So now we're talking about at 6:30 in the game, you'll have stim pack to work with. And that's obviously a bit earlier than 6:30, like 6:10. You know, and that's, you know, if you think back to 6:10 in the last game, INnoVation was still okay at 6:10 in the last game. Just couldn't quite hold on. So this time could make a big difference. Definitely something to watch for as our Adept. He's not going to commit to that shade, just looking for info. Prism will warp in a few more Stalkers, and Trap are looking to deal this early damage, looking to deal this early blow. And close out the series and go to the finals. Up 2-1, of course. Prism comes across, drops in a single Adept. I love that. They did 2 siege tank shots now. Wow, no target fire onto the Stalkers. Would rather just clean up that 1 Adept. That's crazy to me. I mean, that's 3 shots that could have gone on Stalkers. And yes, the Stalkers can maybe back away, get healed up again, but surprised that he focuses so much on that Adept, which is seemingly so unimportant. Nice to get the cancel there. Again, a few minerals. Starts to rebuild the bunker once more. It's a target you have to respect as Trap, right? You know, a couple of shots here to get rid of the bunker. There's a couple of shots that don't go onto a siege tank. So I think that's a win. And I love where this tank is positioned, because this tank, you can't blink onto it because you know you can only blink up right here. You can't blink that far forward. So it forces the Stalkers to be on a real deep commitment on the blink, and now they can't blink out. So they're going to blink behind the mineral line. This has to be some intention of a recall. Otherwise, trying to blink out to the right-hand side. But if you blink out to the right, you've got another siege tank to fight with. We do see the Raven going down, but this is so many Stalker losses. Okay, he's just going to ring around the Terran base, and he's going to come back. But now Stim is done, and Stim is so huge at being able to turn this around. There goes the Prism. Stalkers are trapped in the back corner, and now they really will not get out of here alive. Even the tank's being brought in. Obviously, with the medevac, you can probably lift the tank and nitro if needed. This is still taking a while longer than I thought it would, but every Stalker going down. Obviously, big army supply lead to INnoVation coming out of this one. As we'll be seeing, I'd be surprised if he didn't go across the map to test the waters after killing so much. Especially when you know with these kind of builds, there's typically a very slow follow-up, and that's true. Third base, 6:30 in the game it was built. Charge nowhere near being done. Other tech? What other tech? First Immortal of the game starts up, and that's it outside of gateway units. So really, truly, a very, very strong spot for INnoVation. If he's able to turn it into a fight, he might go with Combat Shield and +1. That might be his goal. I may not even hate it if he just sticks around at home for a bit, but I do feel like the opportunity is there to go across the map as well, so... Gonna start to move up. Bit of bio coming in, a couple of Stalkers being hit. Everything from INnoVation gathering together in the bottom center, as we're going to be seeing a few more seconds. We'll maybe get charge in play. The only thing I worry about for Trap is that charge doesn't change anything if you don't have a good amount of zealots. And right now, the zealot count is 1. You know, having charge is great, but if you've only got 5 or 6 zealots, they're just not scary. Now, you charge 10 zealots in, and that's maybe a different story, but zealots are also unupgraded, by the way. There's +1 attack against 0 Protoss upgrades, and well, yeah, zealots are just not even going to come into this fight. Charge will not even be a thing. The Mortal will hide on a super battery that won't really do much. A lot of SCVs down already as these Stalkers deal good damage, but reinforcements coming out, and obviously, you know, the SCV damage done is going to be mirrored on the other side of the map. That probe damage is about to happen because there's nothing over here from Trap. You decide to warp in on this side to try and continue doing more, but the tank defensively is great. 65 to 12, in fact, 69 army supplies. INnoVation wins this game. Nice, perfect, all the memes. And INnoVation ties it 2-2 to take us to another Game 5 in this tournament semifinals. All right, let's see it. You know me, having a bit of a battle with the scoreboard getting into this one. In the top left, our blue Terran is INnoVation. And in the bottom right, our red Protoss player is Trap for Game 5 of this series. As we get into our final map, honestly, it's been a fun series because we've seen a good variety. We've seen a good variety of games, right? Game 1 was a bit longer. Game 2 was a bit more kind of aggressive. Game 3 was aggressive in a bit of a different way, right? You know, definitely plays out differently. Game 4 feels like a repeat of Game 2, but then we get a different outcome and a different build from INnoVation. So while it's been a lot of blink from Trap, you know, on the outset, this looks like, you know, game after game is just, oh, blink, but every game has had, you know, very different outcomes, some different moves from INnoVation especially, even some different moves from Trap. Remember back when he 4-gated on Submarine and he just didn't commit to it at all because INnoVation got that scout. So it's been a lot of, it's been a very kind of intricacy-focused series, right? Because it's the little things that are making the outcomes and the overall way that the game plays out as the game goes on look a lot different, which is really cool. Obviously, that's the kind of series that we like to see sometimes. As the SCV comes down the bottom right-hand side. So SCV comes down, having a scout into the main base, gateway, cybercore. All of this getting set up because we do have our Nexus going to be coming along. Probe is about to finish up. Adept is going to start chrono boosting out, and the warp gate already building into the main base here as the Reaper of INnoVation heads down to the bottom right to get some information. Trap playing blind. No scout from Trap. Dangerous in this current meta where Terrans have not been terribly afraid of going into like a one base opener, you know, a wall off on that high ground, maybe a faster factory. And Trap just going to play a little greedy, right? That does bring his economy that little bit extra up. Maybe his timing's a little bit crisper. Twilight is going to be finishing soon. And there's just going to be seeing that completing. Warpgate is continuing to take along factory finishes, and we do just have the reactor about to be done on the barracks as well. So coming into this. It continues to do it on the left-hand side. We do have Blink continuing to trickle in here then from the Twilight Council, and there's the Robo before any gateways, which, again, for me is a kind of an indicator for 4-gate a lot of the time. People's going to raise. Second Rax in play early from INnoVation, though, and I like this. So he's going to go early into like a lot of bio, and I think that's really good against the Stalker play. Initially, it can be kind of scary because the Stalker's chipping away at that bio. You don't have that tank backline, but, you know, you get a lot of units out, and at the end of the day, especially with that faster stim, you're going to be able to push back the Stalkers much more quickly. So you don't have to be threatened by them for anywhere near as long as you have been in the previous games. Obviously, this bunker more important than usual, as this is going to be a bio-focused defense. You know, I'm saying this, but actually there's no 4th gateway here from Trap, so it looks like it'll just be the 3 as our Reaper is in and our Hellion is chasing too, so a couple probes going down. It's the first time all series we've really seen Trap taking damage here, really. 3-4 workers going down. The Hellions are cleaned out. I'm just going to be seeing our stim pack about halfway done here from INnoVation. A few extra Marines coming through. Starport is about to complete, and the reactor about to be done on our factory. So we'll get our medevacs coming in. Okay, INnoVation, never mind about having to defend, because he won't have to defend. It is going to be Robo before the third Nexus. So this almost feels a lot like how it played out on Submarine, just without the fourth gateway that was never used. Because on Submarine we had 4 gates, but he never used it, so he just went Robo Bay into the third at these kind of timings. So this looks very Submarine-esque at the moment from Trap's point of view. Obviously, INnoVation is in a very different position, right? INnoVation loading up a couple Widow Mines, units collecting together on this depot. He's got a lot of Marines. He's going to have Stim very soon. Interesting that he actually reacted out the Widow Mines. I really thought he was going to reactor out 2 medevacs and then get a bit aggressive with all of these Marines. Instead, he's going to go for a couple of different Widow Mine drops to try and deal some damage initially. So that one did catch me a little bit off guard as the Observer through the top side. Now there's the bunker salvage. And INnoVation will begin to move forward. This pylon here spots the medevac coming in, so if Trap is paying attention, and he does, he's going to be able to recall those stalkers. How much does he recall, though? He's not leaving anything on the low ground to deal with the fact there's going to be, you know, 60 Marines showing up. Stalkers do have the blink on top of this medevac, but it's not an insta-kill, so you're going to force the probe pull right away. And now these Stalkers are going to die. 2 Stalkers go down. There is still no answer to 60 Marines canceling this third base. I mean, the Stalkers are on the way here now. They're going to have to blink over here if they want to be here. And, well, yeah, let's see. Okay, he's just going to cancel the third. I think what he says is that the third's about to finish, so he's got to decide right now what he's going to do. And if he lets it, if it finishes, that's probably when INnoVation stims and says, cool, I'm going to trade for this third base. So Trap will cancel. Oh, and the natural 10 probes go down. The Widow Mine drop here is real good. Able to get 10 workers killed. Oh, okay, Trap's in trouble. Canceling the third base, losing this many workers. This medevac gets out alive as well, and so many Marines survived. He only lost 3 Marines. I almost wonder if he could have just kept the third base. I know it's a risk, but I actually just don't know if these Marines would have gotten it, or if it would have been worthwhile trading that many Marines for the base. Because then you're basically trading 300 minerals for 16 Marines, because you're probably going to kill all of them. I guess then you're worried it's low for later as well, and that's maybe another issue. I don't... Definitely not been Trap's game so far, as another Widow Mine drop lines up around the right-hand side. INnoVation feeling good, building his third base in position. And if I can boost on down. Now we do have the Observer of Trap showing up to the upper left. Here comes our medevac. 4 Widow Mines. In the burrow, that could have been bad if those probes hadn't gone far enough away. And he only unloads 2 of the Widow Mines. The other 2 will unload now, and at least we'll get to unload. And it's actually going to force the Observer to show up. And she gets 1 more mine over here already. And we still got this one Widow Mine, which, oh, what was that? He blinked forward too soon, and the Observer just wasn't there. So you lose the Stalker they didn't need to lose. We do see, I mean, do we call this a push? 2 Colossi, 4 Sentries, and a Stalker? This feels like an accident more so than a push. Like, why is this army out here? The Prism's on the way now, the other Stalkers are on the way too, but this is not going to do anything. And Trap says Annie, which means, no. Don't know what else he's saying, but I think he's a little bit sad about where this one's going. He loses a couple of Observers here. INnoVation finds whatever Trap is saying a little bit funny, and I kind of feel as though we've probably got a Trap who is pretty much all in right now going up this ramp. He doesn't really have the probes for third base. He's still building some, but I mean, this is not even charge completed. He's just desperate to get something done. He really knows it as well. This is going to be seeing that Prism going to load up. The Colossus out to the left-hand side. Trying to get fancy. I mean, getting fancy, but not really doing anything just yet. Vikings going to chase that Prism. Prism's going to go down, which means the Colossus is stranded. He doesn't risk the Vikings, though, and I like it. You don't need to kill this Colossus right now. Higher Viking count overall is going to be better for you, so Seems pretty good. The Ghost Academy dropping down into the back of the natural. We do see 2-1 upgrade starting. Dark Shrine from Trap, second robot. You got to try something. I mean, INnoVation is going to start moving across the map with an upgrade lead. An army that's really set up to deal with what Trap has. I don't feel Trap is feeling so great right now. It's fair to say Trap is feeling pretty worried about where this is going. He's around the top side, so he's kind of circumvented the Terran army. Does he want to try and force a base trade? Don't think that's necessarily going to work, but maybe using the disruptors. He's got a disruptor here. Shot could be dangerous. Doesn't fire yet. Now he does. It's not going to hit anything. Well, he comes through. INnoVation is going to be forced into a base trade, right? And again, you know, maybe you base trade, you're looking the wrong way, and a disruptor shot at 2 lands. And maybe you can do something. I like it. Trap probably set himself up in the best way he could to try and make this work, but unless there's some serious mistakes, this is absolutely an INnoVation game as he uses the tanks to zone out disruptors as he kills off the third base. Now he'll run to the natural. That's a pretty good first disruptor shot. That would have been, but it obviously gets denied, and the robo is now empowered. Trap just can't even break up the ramp with the siege tank there. Game is called, and INnoVation takes it 3-2. Over Trap in this semi-final. I had one translation in the chat which I feel could be pretty realistic. It says, if it is a Stargate behind, if it's a Stargate on my opening, how would you have done? And INnoVation just found that funny. So I think that actually maybe makes a little bit of sense, because actually INnoVation against a Stargate wouldn't have done much with the Widow Mine drop, and then probably the Marines probably not having a good time on the third either, because then there's the gateway units to protect from those Marines. So. But maybe INnoVation plays it differently. Alright guys, GG's, and it is going to be Inno moving through to those finals against DRG.